Bralade. I know how to pronounce it. It's just,
look at her.
you know what it is? It's my accent. I can't help it. Hello, everyone. My name is Layefa, and welcome to the Eavesdrop. This is a pre-recorded episode where we had an author come on. We had a good chat about a new book called A Line in the Sand.
1, 2, 3.
The Eavesdrop.
Wife, mum, boss. Oh yeah, chat the Tims.
Come this way.
What?
Hi, Layefa.
Hi.
How many years now?
100.
Coming to the UK one of these days. One of these post-COVID days. Maybe.
Hey.
How about me?
How are you?
Hey, I know you gotta do your own live stream thingy. All you ladies on your streaming. No, we're not live streaming. We're recording. That's a huge difference.
Look, bye, hun. Bye, hun. This is not live. You can swear all you like. I'll edit it out.
I don't swear.
I love that. I love that. Look at you.
But I've never heard you swear.
No, I'm not a swearer. It's people around me that like to use foul language, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't swear. I'm not a swearer.
So you're just vibing off them.
I'm trying not to. Please. Seeing your husband has just reminded me that I washed my hair this morning and I took off my wedding ring. So I've just remembered there's nothing back. We're still in love. There's just I washed my hair and
Wait, how far are you from where your wedding ring is?
2 doors away.
Go get your ring.
Oh, how are you doing?
I'm awesome.
What time is it over there?
It's 8 a.m.
I put on a blouse for you, babes. Don't laugh. I was wearing a hoodie and I thought
I want one of those hoodies you make.
Oh well. We're
today
working
that
on
you
it.
can put on a hoodie.
I could send you one. You want the moi moi one? The one about moi moi.
Who are these Nigerians that haven't been to Nigeria in decades? That
I know. Go on. You're gonna.
I don't know you guys.
Jesus, you're a busy woman, isn't it? So I'm gonna introduce you to the podcast. Welcome to the Eavesdrop. Thank you so much for coming on. Anybody listening and watching, my name is Layefa, and I want you to introduce yourself and tell the people them who you are.
Oh my.
Who you bees?
Oh my gosh. I am your homegirl, your BFF, the sister you never had, the cousin you wish you had, all those things. I know, right? But that's so hard, life. Where do you want me to start from? Okay. I'm a mom of 3. A wife. I probably could manage 2 husbands if culture allowed, but
okay. I love that.
I am an author. More recently, I became, and we'll be talking about that, but I podcast as well on the SimplyMon podcast. By profession, I'm an engineer, and I'm a leader in corporate America.
Oh, God.
And that's about me.
You got many hats.
I know.
Talk me through, right? Your day in the life. Talk me through, like, when you
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I want that.
Which of the days? Monday, Tuesday? No,
Your most exciting day. I want your most exciting day.
Don't worry about it. I'll use a typical day. So a typical day, I wake up pretty early because I have an hour's drive to work. So a typical day, I wake up at like 4 a.m. and I'm out of it takes me an hour to get ready. I don't know how people do it unless I don't understand. It takes an hour to get into the zen, into the flow, and I'm out of the bed. It's not like I'm even still in bed. And then in that hour, I'm responding to either my publisher in Nigeria, or I'm giving the latest update to maybe a social media person, or sending my podcast editor the latest file in that hour, right? And then I drive another hour to work. That hour is the catch-up time with my mom, my sister, again, all these people I work with. And then the rest.
Do you speak to them daily?
Almost. Well, now that it's crunch time, right? Now that it's crunch time with all of those things, yes. But before now, no, I was more in the writing phase. So I probably would have been writing till late at night or recording. And then I would, when I get to work, it's like my work life is like a hydra headed monster. It has like 10 different parts. So I lead this team of about 17 people, and I have like 6 labs in my purview. So going from one place to the other and all. By the time I come back, by the time I get home by like 6, like I'm just like a moron. I'm just walking into the house like, where am I? Did I leave my body at work? Am I here?
Oh God.
So yeah, that's what happens. And then I get rejuvenated, and then I just keep going, going, going. I know.
No. Wait, you see, when you get to work, right? Do you sneak in a nap?
No.
What? Like, just
That's a fireable offense in my
really?
company. Stealing and sleeping. I know. The two things don't even seem like they have the same weight. They carry the same weight, but yeah.
Right. So when you get home at 6 p.m.
all of it.
When you get home
all of it.
When you get home at 6 p.m., what happens?
Oh, then I have one child climbing my head. I have like hanging off my arm because they think my arm is a tree branch. Yeah. And then I eat. And I kind of just can't. Oh, I love my series. I love my series. What are you watching on Netflix right now?
Right now I'm re-watching Girlfriends.
Oh my gosh. Netflix people, can you please give her recommendations?
Look, I'm so basic. I'm so basic.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, if I get invested, okay, so I was watching an online series called Dreaming Whilst Black. It's old. It's about like, it's on YouTube. It's about 3 years old. But other than that, I was rewatching Girlfriends because I don't know.
I know. You were probably too young when it first came out anyway. So.
I didn't get it then. Now I get it. Now I'm like, shit. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Now you do. Now you're grown, Layefa.
Apparently
yeah.
So
that's what I do. But before last year, when I wasn't involved in these things, and Layefa, you are one person who's always blazed your trail. You've always gone after your dreams. You didn't settle for a 9 to 5 just cause. Even if you did have one, which I don't even know, did you have one at any point?
The thing is, it was very tricky after having kids. It wasn't practical because
even before you had kids.
Before kids I had a 9 to 5, but that was short-lived. That was short-lived because I've always been, I suppose, picking at things that I'm interested in.
Exactly.
But I say it was short-lived because I feel like I got married relatively young. I don't know. I feel like people in their 20s were doing Shaku.
No.
I was there being married and pregnant.
Well, how old were you when you got married?
I was 26.
Stop it. You were not young.
Okay, it's not. Okay, you know what? For African standards, it's not young. You're right.
I know, right? You're right. It's true, though. You're right, because I got married at 28, and I still feel like I was young.
Now we're talking.
True.
Now we're talking.
I still do.
So at 26, when I'm kind of about to get into my career, I get married and I'm pregnant. Do you know what I mean?
How? Where?
What am I doing?
But what would you say to people, right, who are career people? Because there's some people who have careers and they feel like, oh, if they feel that leaning to do something else as well, they feel like, oh, that's for people like Layefa who already are creatives, they're artsy, they go for what they want. Do you think people can do them both?
Yes. I think so. I think because you make time for the things you love.
Mama, I love that.
You do. You make time for the things you love. And if it means less sleep, like you're waking up at 4 a.m., if it means less sleep, then that's what it is.
That's the price you pay.
That is the price you pay.
Exactly, like you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. It is grueling. It is grueling. And I must say that there will be days that catch up on you that you're like, I need to sleep today. Today is the day that I will sleep. And then you just, once you've slept, you're
Obi,
bouncing
that's
back.
Obi in my ears. Anytime I kind of need an opt out on anything I'm doing, I just go to Obi because he's the sure person to be like, oh, don't you? Who is that? Hey, look, I don't come in. Mommy's in a meeting.
Oh,
Okay. Okay. The key word is meeting. When they hear meeting, they're like,
really? Good for them.
Because we'll be working from home for the whole year.
Yeah, true. Very
Oh,
true.
well, I've gone back since. But where was I? So Obi's the one who's always like, won't you rest? Won't you rest? I think you're doing a lot. I think you're doing too much. And Obi's my husband, for those of you who don't know. So he's my cop out. If I need to cop out of anything, I just go to him. He's like, yeah, you should rest. You've been this. But if I need ginger or motivation, I'm not trying to go to him, right? But but that is really key, I think, for people who are creatives. And these days, I don't even think about it as creatives because we all, if you ask the average person in corporate world, they would tell you that they want to do more outside their work. And it might even be in the industry. Maybe you want to be a thought leader. Maybe you want to write this book that's been gnawing at you or talk about industry stuff on a podcast. Everyone wants to peddle influence beyond their workplace. And sometimes it's just a legacy. What legacy will you leave? Just that you were area manager of such and such a company? That's not enough. So that's one of the reasons why I started my company. I call it Preach What You Practice. You know how people say practice what you preach?
Mm-hmm.
Preach what you practice because you're already doing it anyways. You're awesome. You're dope at it. Why don't you tell people about it? Why don't you get people to begin to see from those perspectives? Have those conversations that you are an expert at, or even you're just curious about. So yeah, those are the kinds of things that interest me these days.
So when you started this company, like what, obviously there was a burning inside to want
Yeah.
but what led you to the thought? What, I want to know what happened to you.
I know. I have a whole story. No.
I want to know what happened to you because
at the time.
Those who don't know, you have a book out. By the time this goes up, it will be out, right?
Yeah.
It's called A Line in the Sand, and it's a collection of stories, right? Am I right? And I've read the first two stories.
Look at you.
Last night.
Right,
and I was
proud of you.
Yeah, so, and I wanted to know who did it to you? Who did it?
I know they did it to me. So I call 2020 my year of why not if not.
Right.
Phrase, because I think it's a very Nigerian phrase. I don't know if other people use it.
I've heard of it, but it's not something that I use or hear regularly.
Okay. There's some things I call Nigerian English. It's English, but only Nigerians that use it.
Yeah.
So I know. Anyway, yeah, so I learned about last year, right? Sometime in March, I went for this. Black Enterprise usually has this conference every year. It's called the Women of Power Summit.
Sorry, hang on. Can we tell everybody where you're based? Because I'm not sure if.
Okay. All right. So I live in the US, right? Houston, Texas, down at the bottom. Kind of like the Cornwall of the London, not the Cornwall of the UK. That's kind of where
South.
Yeah, south. So I went for, my company does a lot around diversity and inclusion, and last year I was selected among some high power executives to go attend this Women of Power Summit. Whew. You've never seen so many Black badass executive women in your life. Felicia Rashad was there. Donna Brazil, who's like the political magnate. I don't even know what to call her, but for Black women, she's it, right? All of these women were there and they were leading industries. They were running businesses and stuff. They had this whole award. That was literally the week before the shutdown. So even around then, I started feeling some itching Before now, where I think I would get that itch scratched would be in church, serving in some capacity, the women's group, somehow. Or maybe at my workplace, employee resource group. So I always got volunteered with the women's organization, led the women's organization. But this time around, I was like, you know what? The world is ending anyways. 2020 seemed like the world was going to end.
Yeah.
So if they tell you, Layefa, the world will be ending in 1 year, what are all those dreams that you ever had? And this is it, right? If you don't fit it into this 1 year, it's never going to get done. Mm. So I got to work while everyone else was watching CNN and bemoaning the fact of everything. I would finish my work because we were still working from home, and I have documents and documents mapping these things out. I knew I wanted to start a podcast. I knew I wanted to write a book. It was my 10th wedding anniversary last year. And I attended a book retreat. And that's the thing, when you find anything you kind of want to do, one of the ways I say to seal it is to go for some kind of training. Like, hit up Layefa and be like, this YouTube thing, I've been wanting to get into it. Teach me, coach me, something, anything. It's a way to both learn and also hold yourself accountable. So that's what I did. And I got to work. And I also got people to help me because I wasn't going to try to meddle with sending applications to here, doing this. I ended up doing a lot of things myself, the graphics and stuff. But I used people for some of those other things. I knew that I couldn't edit to save my life, or that if I tried to edit, the episodes were going to get buried. So getting help, getting learning, and kind of hitting that moment in time where you don't really quite care about what people think. You don't really, you're only concerned and centered on your purpose. So that's what I set out to do. So under that body, so I'm kind of like the first test case in my business. What I'm doing right now, I hope to be able to do with other people, which is, what else do you want to do? You want to start a podcast? Let's go. You want to write a book? You want to start a group? Yeah, let's do it.
But what I want to get deeper because you talk about boundaries, right? And
that one.
You did a post, and I don't know, in the middle of the night why
I remember.
I wasn't meaning to attack you.
You're like, what you mean you don't care if you hurt people?
Yeah, no, because you spoke about apologies. You spoke about saying sorry and how and it triggered me because I had at that point been through something where I felt like I deserved an apology, right? And I understand from your post is like an apology should not be something that you request, right? I love that. But I'm like, if this human being has hurt my feelings and I've articulated myself,
why shouldn't I get?
Right? So I want you to elaborate on that.
So I'm sipping some tea for that.
Okay.
And boundaries have been like my biggest thing in my whole life. I grew up in a household where anytime my parents would ask for something, they would say please, and they would say thank you, and even to themselves, right? I grew up in a really, really respectful environment, and I thought that's how the rest of the world was. That's literally what I thought. And if I say these things, you would think like my parents were weak. They were nowhere near weak. My parents handled us better than some of all you.
Yeah.
When I say handled, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'm going to call them out today. I survived it. But anyways, so we have that rich culture of respect growing up and not expecting anything from anybody, kind of like respecting opinions, not necessarily being adopted, but the fact that you could air your views, you could air your opinions. You would hear my dad and his siblings talk and you would think they were fighting, but they were probably talking about how Cameron is better for the US, for the UK than Tony Blair or something like that. They would argue those kinds of arguments. But the thing is that every voice was valid. And when I say with his siblings, some could be 20 years younger than the oldest. So when I came into the real world and I found this thing where people out of respect or people pleasing or just intimidation could not speak up, and we did things essentially because of this people pleasing mentality that people think is culturally African, which is a lie. We did those things, especially in marriage. That was the one that kind of, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I see this time and time again in people's marriages. So I'm a people watcher. I'm truly deeply interested in people. So I'm a people watcher, and I would see these things in marriage where the wife couldn't take up a job because the husband said not to, or the husband basically you couldn't text him because his wife would go through his phone and call everyone who texted his wife. Every type of craziness in terms of boundaries was something that really irked me. So when I was going to write this book, actually this book went through 3 iterations. The first one I thought like, okay, I should just write how to. And I'm like, people are tired of being lectured
Yeah. Yeah.
of what to do in their marriages. You don't know their story.
Yeah.
What would work for this one could probably not work for the other person. So why are you lecturing? So I decided I was going to show them stories, because sometimes it takes a story to kind of get past your
Yeah.
objections, invade your thoughts and your mindset, so that by the time you are judging this other person's story, the truth is beginning to dawn in your mind to say, hey, my one is not okay, or this is something I could do better or differently. So yeah, that was something that got to me. So apologies, right? I'll handle that one last. Apologies are something that's really tricky. Life, do you have those people who just keep doing these annoying things and keep telling you sorry?
Other than children, no.
Okay, you have a really, really healthy relationship landscape. There's some people who are super toxic and they would just apologize. They would do stuff to you and they would just apologize. Like it meant nothing to them. They could say sorry at the drop of a hat, but they wouldn't really change. So, what I was trying to get people to do, first of all, if you know that you don't mean it, first, it's wrong. If you did something wrong and you don't want to say sorry, it's already wrong. But you then just going to say sorry because you want to people please is still not the solution. You dig deep into yourself and be like, why am I not remorseful about this? So you are generally in control of your life. So the rest is up to that person who deserves an apology but isn't getting one. Will you let this person continue the way they've been around you? So someone keeps hurting you, they don't apologize. They only apologize when you demand or request it. That kind of relationship, is it really worth? Is it really worth keeping? Is it really worth investing or being vulnerable with this person? So largely, and I know this can be right, it can be, when I talk about boundaries, it's almost immoral or amoral, right? Rather, it doesn't really have to do with morality, because if you talked about something like setting goals, right? Criminals set goals.
Yes.
They make it smart, they likely will achieve their objectives. So when I talk about boundaries, sometimes it's like it's a cop out for evil people, but it's still within their rights to decide that they can do that. And I kind of want to empower people to protect themselves for themselves and don't be swayed by fake apologies. Someone cheating on his wife and apologizing. Save your apology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm done for now.
No. I like that, because I think I was coming from the notion of I don't hang on to, like, I say sorry very easily. And I'm very, even if I didn't mean it, even if that was not my intention, the fact that I hurt you, the outcome wasn't good. That's my notion. The fact but from your explanation, I now
no. But let me give you a scenario. What if you called someone out for something they were doing that was wrong?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have called me out. You hurt me. Don't tell me the truth. Would you say sorry?
No. I've called you out.
Yeah.
I've called you out and the person is hurt by it.
Yeah.
No. I think now this is a boundary, because what I'm learning is that generally people don't like confrontation.
I know.
Right? And you have to have a very intimate relationship with somebody. It doesn't
Of
have
course,
to be
I agree.
like just a sister or whatever to have a confrontation. And I think being British, I've learned to be, and this is a bad thing. I think that
I agree.
I've learned to be passive aggressive. So I might not call you out, but I will say things that will ignite something. And you're like, what are you, do you understand? So
Did you just, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's the only way that I can, with certain people, address my feelings, because I know that
Oh, wow.
is a big, it's a big.
I kind of agree with you. So there are many people I wouldn't even bother like having those confrontations with. And again, it depends on that intimacy, the closeness in relationships. But like relationships that truly deeply matter to you, and you're beginning to feel resentment, you're beginning to feel bitterness because of something someone keeps doing. That's something I typically would encourage people to be like, don't don't sit on it, because the truth is that bitterness or anger, all those things you feel, one day you'll just erupt and people will be like,
What?
I just did this little thing, why are you so mad? But you saved it, so now you have reactive boundaries, which is just as worse. And nothing pains me like eventually confronting and then you having to apologize because of the way in which you did it, because you didn't start screaming, right?
Ooh, you just hit a nerve. That's naughty, that. You've just hit a nerve. That, don't do that. That's, ooh.
Sorry, I'll try to be British.
No. I like it. Keep going. Yeah. No, you're speaking facts, yeah.
No, but have you found that to be true though?
Oh, yes. 100 times, yes. And then afterwards, I feel like the mug, because I'm like, hang on, but I felt.
We were just discussing your issue. How did this become about me? It's cause a lot of times, you know, when those little things happen, you're like, yeah, I can bear this, right? I can handle this. And many times we don't trust our emotions. When people say, oh, don't get overly emotional, don't be emotional, I'm like, no, be very emotional, because they're like God's signs to let you know when there's danger or let you know when something is not right, except you have a messed up mindset. And when I say messed up mindset, you know with yourself some of the notions you've had coming into relationships. Maybe your last 3 friends betrayed you. So now anytime someone says something, you're still left with a tinge of those experiences. Yeah, that those emotions you shouldn't exactly trust. But if you have a clear mind, you're generally healthy emotionally. Your emotions are a sign that you shouldn't miss. Don't miss it. If my emotion is telling me something life has said kind of irked me, it's worth a discussion. But again, because of my boundaries, I don't expect that if I take it to Layefa, she should immediately apologize. No, I'm trying to get to how does Layefa think? What is the reason she said this? And just kind of letting her know this is how it made me feel. Maybe if that's kind of how you talk with all your other friends, can you not say that to me? So let me give you a simple example, right? There's something Nigerians do. If they meet each other sometimes, they would call each other foolish goat. You must have heard this on podcasts and stuff. I don't want anyone to ever call me any such name.
Yeah.
Don't call me goat. Don't call me a fool. Don't call me a fish. Don't call me these names. Cow. No.
Yeah.
People say that from a place of endearment sometimes, which is the weirdest thing. Don't even ask me. So it is the weirdest thing. So imagine that I'm like, oh, well, everyone else takes it, so I should take it. Yet it's upsetting me. One day we're going to be somewhere in public, and as usual, this friend will reach over to me and say, hey, goat, what's up? And then I would throw this huge tantrum. Let me go. I've been taking it and taking it and taking it. I never said anything. And now you're going to come and then everyone will look at you like the mad person. And you probably would have to apologize because you just screamed a fit and probably walked out. There wasn't any need for that. So what I try to do in my book is to be proactive with people, get people to a point where they trust themselves a lot to have that confrontation. So in my 10-step plan, confrontation is actually the 5th step, because I agree with you, Layefa. No one likes confrontation. I would only get there if it's absolutely necessary. Make our relationships a healthy ground with feedback loops. I don't think those confrontations don't have to be this huge thing. It could be this little, small things. I love this, your couch.
Oh, it's
It's so Victorian.
I do like I have a thing for like retro vintage furniture. but my family don't like it, so there's only one room for it. So
really?
So we have a living room which has the, you know, modern furniture, and then this room is the room where I could just be a little bit more adventurous.
Creative.
Exactly. Right. So you know what? I want to talk. Well, there might be a bit of spoilers, but I reckon everyone should get the book, because for me,
no, feel free. Get into them.
So obviously, I read the first story, and what stood out to me as a Black British Ijaw girl, right? There are many minorities within that. Can I just break that down, right? So
break that down.
Representation. And this seems very, I know because of your upbringing, it seems like duh, right?
No, actually, no. No, it's not.
Really?
Because we're not writing our stories anymore. We're writing other people's stories, many of us sometimes. So it was very intentional.
I loved seeing my name in, like, obviously you're not talking about me.
That's so true.
You know what I mean? I loved seeing my name because as a child growing up, and I remember when I first got on the internet, I was the only Layefa, like, for a very long time. Yeah. So seeing my name in text and seeing all of these beautiful Ijaw names, I was like, oh my goodness, like, I'm here. I'm right here. And I love that. And the only time I've ever seen that is, have you read Chimamanda's Half of the Yellow Sun? You most probably have.
Yeah.
And there's a part in the book where she makes reference to the Ijaw neighbors who only eat food, right? And that, I picked up on that as somebody who's always...
That one stuck with you.
It stuck with me.
Yeah.
So, have you watched the movie adaptation of the book? There's I think Genevieve is in it. I'm not sure. There were a few Black British actors in it. There was a movie adaptation.
Oh, wow.
And what stood out to me is that there was a Rex Lawson played in the soundtrack. Right? These are things,
I'm so proud of you.
Right? And
I'm
thinking,
Rex Lawson.
Of course.
Your mom did good.
Of course. So the thing is, these are things that nobody knows that I know about, because when I step out of my front door,
it's not even in your context, no.
Right? So it's only within the parameters of home that I would hear Rex Lawson, I would hear High Life, I would hear Robert Obisimo. So what I loved about that story was the representation. Although, is it Ebi Timmy? He got on my nerves. He was jarred. I'm sorry.
You're like, I'm coming for you, bruh.
Look, he was so, I was like, if this girl walk away, this story does not make sense. So I loved that. I loved that. And the second book, Money Matters.
Oh my. Tell me about it.
It's like, it was like, is this something that I recognize? Have I seen this played out before? And it was so, ooh, you were hitting a nerve. That was naughty, that.
Tell me.
You know, it's just that, like, okay, so being in a household where my mother was the breadwinner, I know that dynamic. I've seen it played out. And although you're a child and you're not necessarily allowed to speak, but you're aware that something
is wrong,
right? The maths isn't mathing.
Especially when the spouse is not supportive, when you're just like you just keep milking the cow. So the story that Layefa is talking about now is about a nurse, Wakego, who is a breadwinner for her family, even though that wasn't the plan. Her husband was supposed to be working. He was hale and hearty, able to work, but he basically was just drowning their money in different ventures that weren't panning out, till he basically held her mom's surgery money for her mom's surgery, and used it for a house. How many times have we seen those stories, right? And the emotions, you should see Layefa's face right now, but the emotions that these stories, every time I've asked someone to read these stories, what happens is that they come back to me with their own stories. It blows my mind. They recognize someone they know in the stories. They recognize themselves. They see even themselves sometimes as the villains in the story. So it makes me see that this is a way to begin to spark those conversations that we keep so buried, because as open as we are as Nigerians, we don't talk about the things that really bother us.
No, we don't.
I know a Nigerian for 50 years, they will never talk about it. It's like sacrosanct. Yet that's where they can get help from. So no one ever reads it and be like, brother, you didn't put this dot on this I or this word. Or everyone kind of like, there's a story, exactly what I know about this and that and the other. So it humbles me when I hear that. And I really just want to start a movement. Let people talk about the stories, let people be able to glean from this and be like, you know what, I'm not wrong. Because there'll be people who will be saying, that's just how life is, and that's who your husband is. Just try to see how can you, just beg him or hide it. Like all sorts of crazy advice.
I want to know, are these stories real to the T? Or are they like, are they like, I want to know, is there some elaboration?
As part of my research, I went online and I read this topic. It's called realistic fiction. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Right.
Fiction is fiction that feels like someone. It is so representative of real life
Mm.
places. So we're not talking about like Harry Potter setting where of one otherworldly town. No, we're talking about the streets you've walked. We're talking about the names you've heard. So because of that, it feels very realistic. So I did have some inspiration, and in my acknowledgments, I put it at the end. I did have just about four stories. A Line in the Sand is largely about Obi and I dealing with a child with special needs and having to draw boundaries on that. Because many times people think boundaries is between, spouses. It's not just that, it's also between external influences as
Mm.
well. So I talked about that. There's this story, The Car, which I'd heard from my friend. One of her husband came to the U.S. and her birthday decided he was going to buy her a car,
Well.
and she was like, "What is that? Take it back." Because this is debt, right? You don't have the money to buy. Just because you could sign and get it doesn't mean you have the money to buy it. So those kinds of, I called it in another magazine where I published it, I called it different strokes, because in Nigeria, generally, of course, I'm being
Mm.
stereotypical now, someone would celebrate you and say like, you are awesome because you bought them. They don't want to know, how did you buy it? Where did you get the money from? No, just my husband got me this brand new car, and you keep flaunting it, but she wasn't going to have that. But apart from that, I'm not going to lie to you, there weren't any others.
Really? I love that.
But these are things you can imagine. Can you not almost imagine it?
Oh, definitely, definitely. But they feel, and I like that they're all, there's a message, which is, I suppose, a point of, it's not a how-to. It's like, read it and enjoy it. Take from it what you will.
Take from it what you will. I love it.
Right. And I was like, okay, I'm seeing, I've only read two stories, but I'm seeing a pattern. Okay, I like this. And I think what was refreshing for me also is because I haven't read, I've been reading a lot of fact books, right? A lot of like, oh my God. So it's nice.
You just gotta get. I remember when I was going to watch The Hate You Give, right? And no, sorry, Beale Street. If Beale Street Could Talk. I remember flipping like 5 different times that I wanted to start it. And I said, am I in the presence of mind to see this? Because it's heavy. We should see it, right? We should see those movies, but it's also very heavy. You leave there with a weight. You leave there with, there's truth, it's something we should confront ourselves with, but it's heavy. So I'm like, we do have light stories in our culture, in Black, when I say our culture, Black culture, we do have lighter stories. So we kind of need to begin, even now that we need to tell those heavy stories, it's time for even more people to start telling the lighter stories just to balance it off.
Mm.
Give people some form of hope that, we're not this monolith, oppressed and depressed people.
No.
These people without power, these people without hope. No, we're not.
Yeah.
So
I absolutely love that. I can't remember what I was going to ask you now. It's escaped
I
me.
talk too much, that's why.
No, it's great. It's great. It's a vibe. Now I'm just gonna, you know what? Because I didn't. So did you start the podcast in 2012 as well?
2020.
You in 2020? Sorry.
Yeah. So this time last year, actually, I decided May 19th I was going to start the podcast, and then 1 month later, June 19th, the podcast launched. So
Really?
I have 39 episodes and I've spoken to some phenomenal, I call them impactpreneurs. I call them people who started businesses that weren't just side hustles or stuff to give them more money
Mm.
so that they could impact, society in some way. I have this lawyer who has um, a book club service for children, and she curates books from different countries. For example, 1 year she could do Syria, not 1 year, 1 month she could do Syria and put like a little keepsake with the books for the different ages. She could do Zimbabwe. Things like that really stood out to me. I have people who have businesses in STEM bringing more representation into um, science, technology, engineering, and math, bringing more representation in there. It's business, they're making money from it, but it's something that, inspires and impacts. So those are the stories that always call out to me. I'm always talking to
So
people like
yeah, where do you meet these people?
social media.
I love that because I was like,
Someone knows someone who knows someone who, I have people who come on and they enjoy it so much that they, ask other people. Because other people, sometimes we're so niche that some people doing great work get lost in the mix because
yeah,
where to fit them.
yeah.
So I kind of go look for those people. But it's been tough these last this year especially. Oh, publishing is a whole other thing. This is why a lot of people have manuscripts under their beds and won't get it there. But as much as possible, one thing I would say, if I've learned anything through this process, as much as you can, pay for what you need.
Ooh.
Pay for go on Fiverr.
Mm.
Or even if you won't pay, utilize people who can help you.
Mm. I love that. So the podcast is called Stellify, for those who don't know, and I should leave notes in the description box and
In the show notes, I know.
and also where people can find it. Yeah, you know what? A random question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you Owigiri?
Come on.
Really?
I could adjust this so that I could.
Oh my God. I've been practicing for a couple of years now.
I said Ijaw is the only culture that has so legalized twerking that you can twerk anywhere. In church, at home, a grandma could twerk, anybody could twerk. So next time you look at twerking, don't look at the scanty clothing or something. There is something. Actually, our men twerk as well.
Yes.
So there's remove all the tongue hanging out and all the vibes and just leave that butt shaking and it's a whole thing.
I know. You know what? I've been practicing for a few years and I'm just like, and sometimes you want to dance for your man and I'm like, babes, is it moving? And he's laughing at me.
The thing is, you gotta trust the butt. You gotta trust that it'll follow what you're doing in your mind. And you're already doing it now. You kind of just, but don't worry, it's not just you. I have a mom and a sister, right?
Yeah.
None of them can always do.
Really?
My mom's like the Queen of England, right?
Of course she is.
Yeah, so
very proper.
She stands up to dance. I'm like the wild, crazy one. And she's just like, this is her dancing, side to side, side to side. The legs barely moving, standing.
Okay. Oh no. My mom used to give a good Owigiri, like proper. Like, I'm like, you mean that couldn't be handed, like, come down? And I explained to people, like, but this twerking thing, like, this is this isn't new. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I love that. So I'm glad that you can. I'm still practicing.
I used to win dance competitions when I was little.
No, you're lying.
That's how I'll send you. Don't worry, I'll send. Maybe we can out me on your social media. I've done some videos of stuff.
No, because it's a special skill that all of
It
us
is.
have. Yeah, because sometimes
So that's one of my skills for those of you who you can add it to my bio.
Right. I love that. I wanted to ask also, like, because you know, in the first story, going back to the first story,
Yeah.
and you, the storyteller is Alare. Is that have I said her name right?
Alire.
Yes, right. She speaks about how she's wanted to have this dream wedding since secondary school.
Yeah.
I'm like how real is like okay. I know, okay, maybe there are some girls like that, but I want to know, were you like that?
So let me tell you how bad it was. If a movie didn't have a wedding scene, I didn't even want to watch it.
Jeez.
My best movies were movies that had wedding scenes in. You know how you have those romantic, and then it ends up with the wedding. You know that wedding where they do it and then that's where they dance out from.
Yeah.
Any movie had that at that time. That's how good or that's how bad this obsession with weddings was. And then it's not now where children can go bowling and they could go, you know, do fancy stuff. Those days it was weddings. Saturdays were for weddings. Your auntie was married. You were either a flower girl. As you grew up, you became a bridesmaid.
True.
That was the obsession.
True. Very true.
That was it.
Especially if that's your regular Saturday.
Yeah.
If that's your regular Saturday.
And what were the books we had in like large quantities? Mills and Booms. You remember that book?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-mm.
That's a whole cultural thing. M&B. Just ask any Nigerian you know about M&B.
Never heard of it.
This roughneck dude falling in love with this damsel and her femininity softening him. And of course, there was always a scene where they would have sex and they would absolutely fall in love and they would always end up together. Mills and Booms.
Right. Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
I can't believe you. Ask Mimi. Ask even Mimi that talks with you. I'm not even joking.
Oh, I'll check it out. You know what? I really, really appreciate you coming on. I'm hoping that maybe once I finish, maybe we could get you back on again. Maybe we could.
But let me ask you something. Do you find that, you know how some of your friends, you know, they're going through stuff in their marriages and they really can't talk about it? Do you find that giving them a book like this could help?
Oh, it's a tricky one, you know. I feel like, okay, you know, it depends on the friend. I feel like some friends are they have a similar mindset to mine and they're open to learning. Other friends, they've already made up their mind. Really, sometimes a friend will tell you what they're going through and they're not asking for advice. They just want to say, and by doing so, I know that you're not gonna leave. You don't have a plan. You say you have a plan, and if I talk, you can't really talk into somebody else's marriage. You can't really.
It's so hard. I know what you mean.
But you know what? It might be a seed worth sowing. It might be a seed worth sowing.
And it's you'll be like, just laugh. So what I tell people is that with this book, you will laugh, you will cry, because you haven't even gotten to the domestic abuse one yet.
You know what? I don't.
Some tears are waiting for you. So you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll curse. Because some people will annoy you, like to maybe in that story. So those are some things that I feel like, at least for a moment, you escape your marriage, but you leave with those lessons that kind of remain, right, with you. Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
I really appreciate your time.
Have me on again. Oh, sorry. I'll have you on next time.
Yeah, defo. So I'm gonna leave all your details in the show notes, in the description box. Let people know where they can find you, where they can, because the book is on that is you can order from.
It's on Amazon, yeah, especially for my UK people on Amazon. But there's a hard copy in Nigeria as well, hardcover. I made it really pretty so that it'll be a book that you can put on your coffee table.
Yeah, it's really nice.
If came to visit you, they could quickly read one story. One story doesn't take that long to read, right? And each story is a standalone, so it's pretty easy to read like that. So
what did you say, hardback?
No, so on Amazon you can get the Kindle copies available right now, and then by the time you're reading this, the paperback as well will be available. So you can order both the paperback and the Kindle, or one or the other. But in Nigeria, I have the hard cover, like the hard back. Yeah.
So okay, that's a line in the sand. You have been Bralade. Thank you so much for coming on.
One day you will learn to pronounce my name. Say Bralade.
Bralade. I know how to pronounce it. It's just
look at her.
You know what it is? It's my accent. I can't help it. I used to say Bralade. Mommy would say Bralado. I said,
yeah. So your mom's dialect would say Bralado. So my mom would actually call me Bralado. I love that. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. Kisses.
Bye.
We'll
My love
to
the kitties and hubby. Bye. Thanks.
Yours too.
Bye.
The eavesdrop.